How is the IMF assessing the economic spillover so far and the risk of economic fragmentation?
What we have witnessed over the last years is that unquestionably we are in a more shock-prone world. And that requires from countries to adapt to that world rather than pretend that somehow it does not exist. The most important lesson we learned from the pandemic was that countries with strong fundamentals, like people with strong immune systems, withstood the shock better. So the number one recommendation we have at the fund is for countries to relentlessly pursue the reforms that bring strength in a more uncertain world we live in. The second is the role of international cooperation, and Minister Al-Jadaan already talked about fragmentation. This is truly a matter of highest priority to recognize and deal with it. We look at the costs of fragmentation. They are very significant. We have on numerous occasions demonstrated that we are talking about chopping up to 12% of the global GDP. Just imagine what we can do as a world with additional 12, 13, 14 trillion dollars. We look at what has happened in the last years. In 2017, trade restrictions were 500, and we were saying, oh, this is too many. Today, they're 3,000. I know it is not easy, but wisdom has to prevail. And in multilateral organizations, we fully recognize our huge responsibility to keep our membership together. And actually, we were just in Marrakesh. First time in 20 years, the annual meetings were in an Arab country. First time in half a century on the continent of Africa. What Morocco has proven is the capacity to bring the world together. And we have taken decisions that are significant for the stability that we need. Looking at the current conjuncture, where are we? Growth is slow, 3%, and remains slow for years to come. Inflation is still high, that requires interest rates to remain high. Throwing more cold water on growth. Who in their right mind would then further impact negatively our prospects for growth by fragmenting the world economy? So please, come to your senses, all of us. And we now have a very tragic moment for people affected by the war that erupted since October 7th. Devastating for the families that have suffered losses. Terrible in terms of economic prospects for the epicenter of the war. Negative impact on the neighbors through trade channels, tourism channels, cost of insurance, and more jittery world, more anxiety in the world. So we are here in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, its neighbor. It is a place where more than any other in the world, that recognition that the sooner there is a resolution, the better for people, for the region, for the world. What we can do as an institution is to show the impact short-term and the risks medium, long-term. And again, appeal for peace, appeal for reason.